Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood Mizzo here. In this video, I will be talking about reading reflections. So, if you have not read the assignment sheet for the reading reflections, stop the video, hashtag stop, hashtag, and go do that. In fact, it would be amazeballs if you had the assignment sheet pulled up while you watch the video, because then we could like tag team it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the reflections. I find that when I'm teaching online, if I'm teaching in person, I can like remind people in class, and like when they hear me talk about it, they absorb it easier, and it just does not work the same way online. So I'm going to make you this video so that you can hear me talk about this assignment whenever you want. I do reading reflections for a variety of reasons, all right? The biggest one is I need you to read. I need you to read. I need you to read the material. I need you to read the material. So my best friend is 7 years younger than I am, and he was in undergrad when I was doing my master's program. And we lived together, and he would come home and he would say, you know, no one reads. And I'd be like, no, my students read. And he'd be like, no, baby, you're fooling yourself. Nobody reads. And I'm like, no, my students read. And he was like, us undergrads don't read. And I was like, I read when I was an undergrad. He was like, nobody reads. Okay, so this went back and forth. So I have spent the majority of my teaching career trying to brainstorm how to get undergrads to read, because I've been told they don't usually read. I need you to read because I can only give you so much material, and the book has so much fabulous material, and I need you to read it. Now, reading can be defined in multiple different ways. Some people really need to read every single word. Some people are really good skimmers. I don't super care how you read. I just need you to absorb the material. So if that involves you taking notes, if that involves you, noting the headlines of each paragraph or each section, if that involves really heavy skimming, like however you can absorb the material, that's what I need. So that you have the material from the book, and then in addition to all the material I'm giving you during class. So I want to make sure you've read, and then also I want to make sure you're processing the reading. So the reflections work as a communication between me and you, where you're writing and I'm reading them. And so while we're having class discussion, that's definitely one way to know how you're absorbing the material and thinking through it. But this is a more sort of one-on-one or private way that you can be, thinking through, analyzing the material, and I can be making comments. It helps you practice your critical thinking skills. So you're like taking the material read and then analyzing, processing, and writing about it. And it also helps practice your writing skills. They're like little mini papers. It's like medicine, like a little vitamin. Like it's good for you, but it's not too painful. It's not a big scary paper. It's tiny fun paper that you're writing, right? This also then makes it so that we don't have to do quizzes, right? So like I can ensure you read and I can ensure you process the material without, forcing you to do quizzes, which I'm not big on. And I've heard from most students, they're not big on them either. I don't need you to use the reflection to purely summarize. Every once in a while, students will do that. And as it notes on the assignment sheet, I've already read it, so I don't need a summary. I've read it multiple times. I reread it every class. What? So what I'm more so looking for is the reflection to serve as a way to help you process the material. So the assignment sheet has some, sample questions you can get you thinking, or that you want to answer if you need some suggestions for what to write. Some people treat it more formally. Some people treat it more as a journal. Again, I don't super care as long as the, the learning objectives are being met, right? So are you showing me you've read? Are you processing that material? Are you communicating with me about the material? Are you practicing your critical thinking skills? Are you practicing your writing? I'm happy, right? However it works best for you, is most enjoyable for you, helps you process, right? It's always great when you can use quotations from the writing or maybe certain thoughts or sections. You don't have to do every single concept, right? It's like what sticks out or what do you want to talk about? What links are you making, maybe to your own life? And make sure, right, that the reflection is on all the readings for the week, right? So if you, there's almost always a book chapter. I'm pretty sure every week there's a book chapter. And then some weeks there are Schoology readings. So the readings on Schoology as well. And again, they should all be in the same reflection. You don't need to write different reflections for each reading. And you don't need to go reading by reading. You can if you want. But again, however it works best for you. So usually about this time then, everybody wants to know how long they should be. And I am not a huge fan of talking about length. It's just, I'm not a quantitative person. I usually say it should feel done. It should feel like you processed the reading. It should feel done, right? Well, of course, that's different for everybody. A mentor of mine used to say that length should be like a bathing suit. It should be short enough, long enough to cover everything, short enough to keep it interesting. I don't know if that helps. These are often around page and a half, single spaced. And I prefer them single spaced. If you're going to double space, I'd say at least a page and a half, if not 2 pages. What'll happen sometimes is people will write a few sentences and they'll think that that's enough, but I've never read one that's just a few sentences that's processing the reading. It's usually like generalized statements like, I learned a lot. It's like, that's not what we're looking for, right? Ideally, these would be done by the time class starts. Now, I'm fine with you turning them up until midnight that night, especially if you're including stuff we talked about in class, as long as you've read before class time. So you have to have the reading done. You have to have the material, absorbed before class. Otherwise, we're going to have crappy class discussions, and I don't want that. You don't want that. So make sure you've absorbed the material. If you've taken notes and started your reflection and then you want to, do class and turn them in after class, I'm totally fine with that. And remember, the syllabus specifies this. As long as they're there when I grade them, you're good. Now, here's the thing with that, though. You do not want to get behind on reading reflections. You do not want to get to week 5 and not have done any, and then have to try to catch up. You want to be absorbing the material as we go. All right. Now, that being said, you'll look on the syllabus and you'll see that there are 12 opportunities to do reading reflections. But you only need to do 10. So if you look at the syllabus where it talks about assignments and points, there are 10 that I grade. They're 20 points each, 200 points total. So if you're doing the math, that is 20% of your grade. So these reading reflections, while they seem like dumb and little and small, these are 20% of your grade. They're easy to control. They're easy to do. I do that on purpose so that you have full, full control over that, full power over that. And I think they're awesome. So hopefully that helps. I think that's everything. Yep, you only need to do 10. Have them in, have everything read by class time, but then make sure they're in by midnight on the day where they say they're due. And again, always go back to the syllabus and the assignment sheet. And then if you have questions on these, you can rewatch the video. Have a beautiful day.